Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast and welcome to episode 100. Yes, finally, we are here on episode 100 of this show of MetaFit MetaMind podcast. It's been a long time coming, a long time overdue, and I'm just excited because after so long of me doing this and something that I truly love to do, to share stories, to get people on the show who are willing to share your story, who are willing to serve others, right? For each of us to inspire each other, motivate each other, for each of us to see each other's growth and celebrate the successes of whoever is on the show, right? This is just. It's a huge milestone. It's really, really special to me, not just because we have hit this milestone, but because I've got a guest on today who means the world to me. My husband, Jose Jimenez, a military vet, a engineer, a creator, an artist, beautiful artist. No, he didn't create this paint, but he is an artist, a father, and my husband, right? And so, if you've been listening for a while, you might remember a few years ago when he was actually on episode 50, where he did share his story growing up and how that shaped him to be the man that he is today, or that he was up until that point of 4 years ago. And now there's been more journey, more growth since then. And ever since then, I kid you not, he's been telling me, like, hey, whenever you get to episode 100, I'm gonna be on it. I better be on it, actually. So here we are, right? Another episode for the podcast, but a special one. And I'm just excited. I'm grateful because this wouldn't have happened. During this interview, you're gonna see what we created, and he helped me with it. He's the one that said, if I'm gonna be on your show, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it right. So this conversation honestly meant so much to me. We talked so much about life overall, parenting, partnership, and even how life can feel like a game of poker, right? He dropped a lot of gems about this and about us betting 100% on ourselves. Like, are you willing to bet 100%? Are you? And also knowing, when to take deals, when to not, who to connect with. And so we talked about that and how it means for him to be a good dad, what he's learned, so many more things, right? What he's learned over the last 4 years, his mindset shifts that he's gone through since that last time, like I said. And honestly, I don't know. It was just really, I'm just happy. I'm grateful for this. I can tell you all about the episode, but honestly, like, you'll just have to listen to it. There's a lot of love in this, some laughs, some deeper moments, right? But it's so much insight in here, and just you also get to see kind of like our dynamic a little bit. It's not always as calm as it is in this show, but also we don't always share that part of us, right? Relationships with each other. So if you've ever been curious about that, this is the show for you. And so it's a good one. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here at MetaFit MetaMind podcast. I am so excited because we finally got to episode 100, 100, yo, of the podcast. I can't believe it's taken me so long to get here, but I made it, and there's so many more episodes already planned out. And I'm really excited because about 50 episodes ago, which it's been a while actually, you said you wanted to
4 years ago.
It wasn't 4 years ago. It was more like 2 years ago, I want to say
No,
that.
I looked at it. It
Did
was
you
four
really?
years ago.
Really? COVID year?
Yeah.
Wow, there was a lot of pauses then that happened there. So I'm excited that you're here with me, husband. Jose Jimenez is my guest today, my special, special guest.
Thank you, my wifey. Yes, no, thank you for having me again. Thank you for giving me the 100 episode
Yeah.
like I asked. Yeah, it's been 4 years. It's crazy because it seems like it was maybe last year, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but it's really been that long.
That's insane. I can't believe.
So much has
I
happened.
literally felt like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And last time that you were on, it was really all about you and your story and how you had gotten up to that point of 4 years ago in your life. If you haven't heard the episode, go back and listen to it. But it's about Jose, and I mean, you share a little bit about just like a big picture of like what you talked about in that one.
Yeah, no, it was really me introducing who is Jose Jimenez, right? And a bit of my values. So I go into pretty much why I am who I am, why I think the way I think, and I really do go into you know a little bit of advice I can give out to the world, which making your own luck. But it's been such a long time that a lot has changed since then. Um, I mean, that was 4 years ago. 2 years ago, we just had our baby,
Yeah,
right? Not
yeah.
even 2 years ago, because he's not
No,
even two yet.
it'll be in August, so we still
Yeah,
have like a month and almost completely
like 2 months.
2 months
Yeah, it's two
because he was born
months.
on the 29th of
Yeah,
August.
so 2 months.
Yeah.
Today's the 29th.
Is it? Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Something about choosing days and when it's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've been trying to get him on since Friday and then yesterday and then today is Sunday when we
Yes.
are recording this. And
Yes.
so you'll be hearing this in a few days. Or by the time you're hearing this, it's only been a few days since we recorded this. Um,
But yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. So much has changed. And right now that you said that, one of the things that you said in the podcast was about making your own luck. Recently, you've been telling me about that life is like poker and how I view as poker as a little bit of luck, but you say that there's like strategy or more to it. So tell me more about like explain to me when you say that life is like poker, like how that even like is like because it's still a concept that I'm having to accept or maybe not accept but like really embrace and comprehend.
Yeah. So when I said that, it's kind of like what we talked about, betting on yourself, right? Essentially that's what you're doing. You're betting that you have a better hand than this guy, or you're betting that this next guy, you know, he thinks you have the real deal and you got him beat. You want him to think that, so you're bluffing, right? So you got to
Mm-hmm.
bet on yourself.
Yeah.
But again, you gotta ask yourself, am I willing to bet on myself? If not, throw away the cards, throw them away.
Yeah, all five.
Yeah. No, but I mean, th-
Yeah.
what I mean is fold your cards, right?
Oh,
Fold the
okay.
cards.
Not trade them
But
out.
again, everything poker is not just a game of luck,
Yeah, and
right?
see,
It's a game of skill too.
I've always understood that, but I always felt like it was more like luck. And, there's a lot of books that talk about how some people are lucky, some people are not, but at the same time, it's how people are thinking. And I think I've always, the way that you think has always been a challenge for me. Not because it's a bad thing, but it's just so different and such a, like a way that it challenges me so much in the sense that I'm like, okay, I don't think that way.
So
And it's so
no,
different, right? Do you know what I'm
I,
trying to
s- I
say?
see what you're saying, and I think some of that is due to you want to you want to use that emotional connection on how to figure things out, where I'm more analytical, more numbers, right? So in poker, you want to maximize your profits and you want to minimize your losses. Sometimes you're going to have to pay to see the next card, the next hand,
Mm,
right? In Texas Hold'em, you got to pay to see that next card if someone raises.
yeah.
Now, if now let's say you do have the nuts, right? Basically, you got the best hand possible on the board,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You can't just go all in either, or you might scare away your competition. So you gotta, maximize your profits, reel them in a little
Yeah.
bit.
So how would you say that like implementing, let's say that idea, right? Getting out of such of the specificity of poker, but applying that into just everyday life, right? Where you don't scare away your competition, but at the same time, you have the people that challenge you, but at the same time, you find collaborators. Like, how do you balance that out in which hands you're gonna, you know, play with?
Well, right now you said initially you said let's get out of the poker thing.
Well, what I mean is like is the strategy behind connecting with people and finding your network and because you're in the engineering world, so there's a lot of bids that get placed for
Mm-hmm.
these
Yep.
projects. But at the same time, you go to these networking events and you still connect with some of these, let's say, quote unquote, competitors where you don't scare them off either. So how do you balance that out?
No, so when I network with other engineers, it's to kind of see what they're charging for their projects,
Mm-hmm.
right? What kind of work they're doing, and it's kind of to see what is my competition doing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's what that networking with engineers
yeah,
is. Networking with contractors is a different thing, right? Because now I can connect my clients to contractors,
yeah,
right? Now I can same with networking with developers,
yeah,
right? Now they could be my clients now.
yeah,
I could sell them my work,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And connect them with the contractors as well. So it goes back
yeah,
and forth, right? But my engineers, they're my direct competition,
yeah,
right? There's no networking in poker.
yeah.
Everyone's your competition.
Yeah, but you're still connecting with these competitors, and eventually you're like, hey, here's a respect, like, good game, you know?
No, you study the competitors because you want to beat
Ah,
them. You don't
yeah.
want to. You don't want to be friends with them.
No?
No,
Oh, I
no,
guess I guess that's where,
no.
that would
Because
be one of the things that for me I'm like, "Oh, I want to still connect with them. Like they're such a good player. Like
if
I
you
don't
want
want
to
to
be
make."
friends with them, it's because you don't want to beat them. You just want to. You're just there to have fun. No, I'm there to win a trophy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
I mean, you got to get the big bucks, right? Have some kind of rich, wealthy lifestyle if you're there.
Yes. So, you know, it is. It is what it is, right? They're competition.
So one of the things about my husband is he is one of the most competitive persons I've ever met. And I used to be like, why do you want to compete with everyone? Why is everything a fight? Why is this? Why is that? And I get it, in this world we have to, in a way, in the way I think about it, right? And you're gonna correct me probably, is that I think about it in the sense of like find good healthy competition, but not where you start to like really get into emotions and feelings that you don't like and that you don't enjoy, because then you're not living the way you want to, even if you are making the big bucks, right? And I've heard a lot of stories that some of the wealthiest, richest people have not had a great life because they haven't enjoyed all of, even though they have all the money for it, there's like
Right.
not positive feelings attached to that
Right.
too.
Right. No, and it's great that you're leading actually this conversation in this direction because uh, you're touching on what I was kind of wanting to touch on too.
Yeah.
How much a lot has changed since our last podcast, in which after I heard it
Uh-huh.
just a few days ago,
Yeah.
I can see how much my view of the world and the things I want to do now, I'm more sure about it, and how much a lot of me was an ambitious younger guy, which I have found more important things to be ambitious about now.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell how much wiser I've gotten since then. I do see things a little different now,
Yeah, I
right?
feel like that's true. Like you definitely have grown a lot. You've definitely have. I mean, we have to change every day because if we're not changing, we're not growing. If we're not growing, we're just here. And then, like, who wants to live like that is something that I've learned along these last few years. I want to say I went about 4 years, and so since then to now, what do you think has been like the biggest learning or maybe wisdom that you've gained since that 4 years ago?
Yeah. Um,
Or a few if you have any.
there's quite a few.
Yeah.
I would say one is I learned to value my time and know what I want to do with it.
I mean, tell me about time.
Yes, my time was not necessarily, and at the time we didn't have little baby, right?
No.
So
No, we didn't.
my time wasn't necessarily going to, you know, us and a baby.
Yeah.
It was more like a little bit us, a little bit Alex, but a lot of it was more my friends, hunting and doing my own things. And
But
it's
also the
like,
job.
yeah, the job, it had me really busy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that altogether, it's not what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be more to life. And
Yeah.
I started seeing things a little bit more like that. I was ambitious. I was uh, making more and more every year. And I felt like I was equating money to success,
Yeah.
which
Mm.
you get to a point where you're like, I have so much, like I don't need any more.
Yeah.
Even our home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like think about if that home was 3 bedrooms larger or even 6 bedrooms larger. Like we're not gonna use them. We're not gonna, right? How often do are we ever in our game room?
Right. Yeah.
It's like we had 2 living rooms.
Yeah.
It
And I
it's
think
it's almost like such a waste
it's like
in
sometimes
Austin,
we
Texas.
in Austin, Texas. I feel like sometimes we take that for granted of how much we do have. And we're always looking for more. And we're looking for, like, when I reach that, and, oh, I don't have that yet, but I'm going to go for that. And you've been saying, I'm going to go back a little bit before I even continue that thought.
Mhm.
That you say I was ambitious and this is what I wanted,
Mhm.
which I want to say that you are ambitious. It's not just something that you were. I think ambition can change. Ambition can be flexible, and sometimes people view as ambition as a bad thing because they may confuse it with, with greed, or they may confuse it with something. But I think a lot of it depends on our goals and what the purpose behind our goals,
Right,
right?
right.
And as far as time, I feel like you've always valued your time, just in a different way now. Because back then, you used to tell me you have to value your time, you have to charge for your time. If they're not going to pay you that, you cannot do that job. And it's not because you can't, it's because you have to value that. And so at the time, in a way, you equated it with how much you're charging. But I think your time, and this is just my perspective, right? Seeing the growth from then to now has been like your time is valued in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's not because you didn't value your time then, it's because the way that you value it, the way that you see it, your values have even changed now.
Right. Right. Yep. No, I can see that because it it wasn't it wasn't ambition in the right way. It was ambition equating success to money.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I remember I
But
got in an argument with George, with your brother, about
yes.
what success meant.
Yes, and it's not success is not a definition that people put on it.
Mm-mm.
It's what makes you personally
Yeah.
happy. What's has you in a happy place. Now, we're also not going to say, a crackhead, if that makes him happy, that's his happy place, that's success. No.
No, although they are very what's the word? They really do everything they need to get
To
that,
get that,
right? They
right?
they I feel
Yeah.
like they believe more in themselves sometimes with getting what they need versus sometimes us regular people that were like, "Can I get it?"
Right,
Like I feel
right.
like I question myself so much. I'm like, "Can I really do that? Can I really make this recording happens today, right? And I'm so grateful to you, first of all, for helping me make this happen. I've always wanted to have like a cool podcast studio that I see on Reels, on Instagram, right? Like the things that you want. And I think a lot of that has to do with the belief in your values and what you value in yourself. So, yeah, I just want to say it's kind of like a in between tangent of like, thank you so much for making this
Yes,
happen.
of course,
I
baby.
think I'll say this. I don't think you would have done this a few years ago for me. And not to say because oh, he was this way then. I again, your values were different.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. A few years ago, I was ambitious in the wrong ways.
Mhm.
It wasn't in the ways that I'm ambitious now. Now I'm more focused on how do I create value, because I found that the way you create real value and the way you really make that grow is by essentially helping others, teaching others
Mhm.
that want to know,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what I
And
do. That's what I love.
yes, so so I see myself wanting to work as a community, wanting to work together. I see more of that rather than I'm just on this uphill battle alone, crushing the competition and but that was me, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
now it's like, oh, how do I maximize what you already got going
Mhm.
on?
Yeah. I mean, if I were to go back to you did the 3-day business workshop and we talked about values levels, right? Where people are at, and values level is something that we learn and teach in NLP. And it's about we are in different values levels in our life. There's a hierarchy of values. And so I feel like for a long time, you were in a values level 3 thinking, where it's about crushing the competition, where it is about stepping on the next step of that ladder, right? Where it is about, um, I'm going to make this happen and I don't care who I leave behind, right? And not because you don't care or are some kind of person. And now I feel like you have moved up, right? Because your values level 4, which is more structure, like organization, has always been amazing. I think that to the military and to you having like a structure, you learn that, right? But now I think you are evolving into what we would say values level 5, which is entrepreneurship, which is, yes, more individual thinking again of like, how do I succeed? But in a different way of not necessarily crushing the competition, although people can have a values level 3 and a 5 or a 5 and a 3, which that's another explanation for another time. But it's like you have opened up that, you could say, portal of your like your actual entrepreneurial
Right.
mindset, which I feel like, and because you have a great solid 4, like I truly believe that you're gonna succeed. And I've always believed in you're gonna succeed in everything you do, but now the way that you have shifted that, it's like, whoa, like I think this is a realization that's happening right now as I'm telling you this. It's like, oh shit, like this is what's happening.
I mean, it's been more happening for me because I've just been thinking more of how now I'm more thinking about freedom, actual freedom, actual living free with my time,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, obviously it's not like you got to work
Oh
to
yeah.
get there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't
It's
just
taking
get
that
to say it,
action.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to get to a point where you are going to be bringing in a certain amount of income to support yourself, your family, all of those good things.
Yeah.
Um Now that we're there, okay.
Yeah.
Now
We're doing things different.
let's do things different.
Yeah.
Why? We have the time now. We don't gotta show up to this 9 to 5, be boxed in there. Oh
Yeah.
my God, the office is so cold, right? It's just like, what am I
It's like it's
doing here?
winter in the
And and
summer.
and, and I got this window, nice view outside. It's sunny, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what am I doing in here? And then you start asking yourself, there's no way I'm gonna do this for the next 20 years of my
Yeah.
life.
So tell me this, because we haven't been sharing as much as I've been intending to, because we're on this new journey of doing something that's completely different than most
Right.
people are doing.
Nine to
Um,
five.
yeah, the 9 to 5, but even outside of
That's
that,
exactly what it is.
but outside of that, as a family, like that, we're gonna be leaving in a few years, right? We're not
Nine to
gonna,
five and sending their kids to school.
yeah, and
And we are not doing the nine to
we're
five.
not doing that.
We're
We're
not
not.
doing the sending our kids to school
Yeah,
because
none of that.
who better
I'm
to
gonna say it
educate them?
here because I'm safe with you. It's like this indoctrination that's been happening in the world, and we can have that for another podcast, right? But it's like I want to teach my kids based on my values, not based on somebody else's
Right,
values. And
right,
I'm not saying people have evil values, but I don't have control over that. And
right,
so
right.
the big thing that gets me excited is that I'll be homeschooling, or I should say world schooling,
I think to
because and
me
I'll be
that's
world
I
schooled
think to me
too.
that's like the little things. I'm not even worried about what they're
Yeah,
teaching. I mean, look, we're in Texas here, right? I'm pretty sure we're you know they're getting pretty good education, but I don't think they're getting enough education.
or variety of
Think
even.
about how
I don't
much
know.
they do over the course of like a month, right? Like
It's a
it
lot.
they probably take one whole week for one chapter of the book. I don't know. What I'm saying is we could teach our kids things a lot better,
Yeah.
right? A lot faster, and have time to go to the zoo, learn biology, go to
Yeah.
somewhere, do things that'll teach them about the world.
Yeah.
Take them to the bank so that they can deposit their own
Oh heck
little
yeah. Learn about money
allowance or
and
things
wealth
like that. Yeah,
and
exactly. So that's where I'm at with things, right?
well, that's what I'm
Also,
excited about.
school schedule does not allow them to have 2 3 sports a day, which I think is great.
Yeah. But also 9 to 5 schedule doesn't allow us to give them that kind of schedule, right?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so I
So,
think that's why in the last, I would say, 3.5, 4 years, we had Raiden in 2023. That was a journey that we had. I'm grateful for that experience. Having a really long birth and being able to do it naturally, which is really exciting, and
yeah,
to
that was
have you
awesome.
there, to now it's like this other part of our brain has unlocked, I think, to live the life that we want
Right.
to take this podcast wherever the heck we want to.
Yeah.
And so that's been part of our journey recently is and we're having to learn a lot of acceptance and flexibility right now because we had a goal that right now we would have already been out of this house and being somewhere else, right? Because we have a goal to Airbnb our house, we have a goal to be nomadic, to world school our kids, right? To live in different parts of the world. And most people are like, why would you do that? Why would you retire at 38, Jose? Why would you leave Carla at this age, um aren't your kids gonna, be affected, or they're gonna miss their friends and things like that, and it's like, maybe, but at the same time, it's like they're gonna meet so many like different people around the world. I have not been as culturalized as I've ever wanted to. I've only traveled a few places. And you've traveled all over the world, so you know so much, and that's what I'm excited about, to be able to do this as a family too.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's where I've been is but minuscule. The world is so much bigger to
Yeah.
see. I want to see more of it. I want us to see more of it. I want the kids to learn more about the world. Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much what we're gonna do. Um, our house, we just definitely wanna have that, keep our house and everything. But it's gonna have to be Airbnb, something we could do remotely. Our podcast, we could take it remotely. Um, yeah, no, and it, take the kids, teach them our ways, teach them what we know, and just help them see a different world,
Yeah.
a different take on the world.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people see it like, oh, you're retiring, which I would be 37, by the way, not 38.
Just kidding.
So, but no, people see it like, oh, why are you retiring? Oh, you're
Yeah.
retiring. And no, I'm not retiring. I'm not done putting value out into the world.
Yeah.
I'm going
We're
to continue.
retiring from the 9 to 5.
Yes,
That's
we're
that's what
not
we're
doing.
talking about. The everyday, what at least here in the US, what the US society expects most people to do.
Yeah,
That's the retirement that we're talking about, is like getting out of this lifestyle, right? And creating our own lifestyle the way we want to.
right.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this, like in this process, right, of getting into this journey, it not happening in the same order that we wanted it to happen, right? What goes on in your mind, mindset wise, that helps you continue to move forward?
Um, I've realized what time we have left.
Hmm.
It's not as much as other people think. Uh, you start taking away how much, and this is like, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
In the next 30 years, right? Obviously, if you sleep 8 hours a day, that's a third of one day. So if I'm telling you that in the
Yeah.
next 30 years you're going to be asleep for 10 years, that's about accurate. That means you're only getting 20 years out of the next 30 years, right? People don't really see it like that. I do, and I see that I want to do something else. There has to be more to the world than this. So that is my motivation in a way of like, why am I going to keep working for what? For more money, for a bigger house, for what? That's not what I want out of life. I don't want to have a house that I don't ever even, the house we're in right now, I hardly ever even go to Alex's room, right? Or his restroom
Yeah.
to see if I go in there is to inspect that it's clean.
What is it? Thursday field day?
Yeah, and it's like space that you're paying for. Again,
Yeah.
in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I
And
don't
then
know
we
how
just
much
saw
a
those
square
homes
foot.
today.
Oh
We
yeah,
just saw those homes
yes we
today
did, and
that,
you're paying a lot for per square foot of home.
yeah.
You know.
It's not because we're gonna get another house. Who knows, right? But it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to have, I want to say, a home base, but at the same time, we've seen that one YouTube channel where she says, "Don't buy a couch." I can't think of the YouTube channel at some point, but
Yep.
maybe I'll put it here somewhere.
Yep.
Um, where people buy things to keep them rooted. Of course, we want safety, we want security. It's the normal thing that most people want. Culturally speaking, we were just talking about earlier, right? Our moms had to work their asses off to fight to even survive, to even like get here to the US, right? As immigrant women, to raise us as these strong independent women, pretty much. And even now, like how they continue to fight and work and all of that. And I think that's what we're probably not probably that's what we're moving away from. Not necessarily the hard work, but the having to do it at the age that they are.
Right, right. And yeah, exactly. I don't want to be 60 years old when I retire. And
And then
then
we go
it's
to
like,
these islands
I
and like,
can't do any of this
yeah.
good, fun stuff because I can barely
Yeah, we
move.
can't even go
I've
up
been
the
sitting for
hiking
the
and stuff.
last 30 years in a chair
Yeah.
working,
Yeah, because I mean,
my
even
bones
that, right?
freezing.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
you're at work about like 8, 10 hours a day sometimes,
Yeah,
and you're in that cold office
yeah.
and on the computer screen with all that blue
It's
light.
torture.
So,
It was
and we're not
the Marine
saying,
Corps was easier.
yeah, and I'm not saying like it's bad to have a job or anything. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but it's like, at what point do you continue to just live like a more robotic life just to have more and more and more? And how do you determine when is more or when
Right,
is enough, right?
right. So you just gotta be comfortable, really, right? You have to know your needs and those things that aren't needs. You have to just really, once you're at a point where you're comfortable and you don't have to show up on someone's schedule and you can do what you want, that's all you need, really. Until then, put in the overtime, put in the double time, work your side gig, right? Do that. Let your main job that you're getting money that somebody's paying for you for now, let that fund your dream. And that's the way I see it now, right? Because if not, think about it. Every time you go spend on a night of drinking, you're, you're throwing away your dream,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And we're putting poison in our body.
Yeah.
Not only like physically putting poison, but mentally, like what are we seeing? What are we
4
attracting?
years ago, I was drinking like crazy.
You
And
did
now
drink a lot.
I don't even drink.
You get drunk off of maybe one or two.
Yeah, and it's rare that I drink.
Yeah, yeah, I've been learning so much about that. I've had some amazing people on the show, and I just learned like carcinogen that you put in your body and like all these things, of how it affects your brain, how it affects our brain, our body, like our mind, our mindset, our wanting to be ambitious, our wanting to be free, or wanting to have this like lifestyle, right? And so for you, how do you in this whole process, because you do sometimes are like, dang, I'm in this office 8, 10 hours, right? Or I had to work overtime. What do you think helps you to maintain your health or some kind of like balance between mind and body and even emotional, spiritual, all that health as a whole?
Uh, Lately, to be honest, I think it's really focusing on what really matters, right? Priorities, obviously. Um, my home, my sleep, my job. 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. That's kind of how it has to be. You got to find that good little balance right there. Sometimes you got to put in a little bit more time over here. Now you are you going to take it away from your sleep, or are you going to take it away from your family? That's the balance right there, right?
That's your balance.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you ask me, "Oh, why are you working late?" and this and that. And it's like, "Baby, right now this is a little bit of a priority, right? But I'll lose sleep if I have to, right? So I can be there and show up, right? That's my most important. I think, 4 years ago, Alex wasn't living with us full time,
No.
right? And we didn't have no baby
Alex also was with us just fully 2 years ago. So we became parents of two, like full time parents of two, 2 years ago.
like that,
Yeah.
just like that.
It was like, oh my God.
Hmm.
It got a little bit overwhelming. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, yeah. No, it did, but we got through it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that was
That was, I
that
mean,
that was it. It was very welcome though.
yeah, of course, of
And
course.
ever since then, again, this whole thing just, for me, everything, what matters, and when you need to step up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the values that my mom instilled in us, and I mean us, me and George, right?
Yes.
I think that those values are such that I'll never give up on you guys, on you and the kids, right? I'm never gonna give up on you and the kids, and I'm gonna show up.
Betting 100%.
Yeah, 100% for you and the kids, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, and I don't want to let your mom down either. She
My
loves me
little
a
old
lot.
lady.
So yeah. Um,
She buys him more stuff than me. She's like, "¿Crees que le va a quedar a Jose? Do you think this gonna fit Jose? Do you think he's gonna like it?" I'm like, maybe, yeah. Just randomly
yeah.
too.
Yeah, no. I don't want to let her down either. And yeah, so I just my thing is show how am I going to show up
Yeah,
for my kids? How am I going to show up for my wife? How am I
yeah,
going to show up for work?
yeah,
Right? And that's why I don't sleep a lot.
yeah.
But um
Don't worry, that's coming. He's gonna
it's
sleep a lot pretty soon.
redirecting that that energy that I had. I'm just simply
Yeah.
redirecting it.
Yeah. And at some point, I think you're going to have to find a balance for your sleep because one of the things that most like fitness, health specialists, doctors, all these people, right? Experts, some podcasts that I've listened to, it's like sleep is so essential for a recovery, muscle recovery. I mean, you've been going to CrossFit with me too. So you have been doing that. I think you forget that you have been like a little more active since in the last few years too, versus all the drinking. So you stopped doing that. You've been more active, of course. Um, and you listen, I think you listen to more podcasts too. And so I think your lifestyle has definitely been changing to be a little more healthy again. Because I know that you were, I don't know how healthy, but you were super fit in the military, in the Marine Corps. Now, what I do know is that there was a lot of drinking then too. I don't know how that helped or not helped, right? But now I
There was a
think
lot more running and getting sweating it out.
running, swimming, running,
Yep.
jumping from what is
Yep.
it? Those planes and stuff. Um, so your body had to recover, right? But I think now one of the things I think both you and I have to learn is improving our sleep. It's a little challenging with an almost 2 year old. But that is something that I do know that will help our mindset and anything else that we're feeling, right? Is that sleep. For me, right now, I'm happy with getting 6 hours, even though people say 8 hours is the best. But I've also heard things that people say that some people do well with 6 hours and some people do better with 9, 10 hours. So,
Yeah. If I could get a solid 6,
mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. I'm not
Yeah. I
asking for
think we're
too
both
much.
similar in that sense of like 6 hours, cool. I feel energized. Sometimes with the 9 hours, I feel like, oh my God, I'm so tired, like sleeping more. It's weird. It does something to me.
Yeah. I mean, I like sleeping in sometimes, but again, other times, I do not want to waste my day.
Yeah. I'm
I
gonna
want
do
to
that.
make the most of each
I'm gonna
day.
I'm gonna do that thing of that from that video that George sent us where she like changed the time on him and you're gonna think that you fell asleep for 2 hours.
Oh wow, that man, that had me
Was
cracking
it
up.
2 hours? 2 days, he says here.
Two
Two
days,
days.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 days,
He's like, oh my God.
yeah,
What day is it? You made me miss my show. Summary all that we saw.
yeah.
But yeah, I think part of also this is that I think we've been laughing more. Like, yeah, we argue, whatever, relationships as any other. But I think one of the things that I've been finding too is that we laugh more and like, I mean, of each other and just things that happen. And Raiden, of course, makes us
I
laugh.
don't know. I think maybe we're the only couple that argues. I don't think other couples argue,
Probably not. I
right?
think you like to
I think
argue.
we might be the only ones.
I'm going to say this you argue.
I don't argue. You argue.
We're not arguing.
See, you're arguing again.
So, I think that is something else health wise is that even when we do have those uncomfortable moments, we're able to at some point talk about it and know that we have goals and stuff and we're here. And one of the things that I'm just going to say is we're not perfect. Like we're far from it. We're not like those Instagrammable like couples and stuff that it's like, oh, this is how it is. It's not.
No.
Definitely not. Especially, it's challenging. With someone very, very, very down to earth and someone who comes from the military and a little more structured. It's been a learning curve, but it's always. I want to say it's always like you've always challenged me, but it's always a part of my journey that I feel like you always teach me something. I may not always tell you that you teach me something, I may not always want to admit that you teach me something or that you're right about something, but I always appreciate and I'm always grateful to you for that.
No, thank you. Thank you. And really, I'm learning just as much from you. Um, just the same way as I'm learning from the kids. For me, Alexander, my 13-year
He's
old,
gonna be 13.
yeah, he's gonna be 13, right?
Yeah.
Here in 2 months as well.
También.
And he taught me how to be a father. It was kind of like running around like a chicken with his head chopped off, right? I didn't know what I was doing. He was my first baby, and I was a young kid, 23, but I made it through the fire,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I'm out here on the other side.
Yeah.
It's
You've
been a
definitely
long
been
journey.
so different with Raiden.
Exactly.
Like
It's
so different.
I
Raiden's wild. He's my wildling, yo.
Yeah, and
Winter is coming
you can
with
tell
Raiden.
the patience I have for
Yeah.
our little one, that it was patience I didn't have
Yeah.
for our oldest one.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's going to be part of our healing together too, and going on out into the
exactly.
world together is going to be like a lot of healing in that sense.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like I grew a lot since then. I've matured. I've learned from him, and now I can do things a different way and do it better, right? Because I saw how one would react, respond to the way I would teach. I guess as parents, that's what we are. We're teachers, right? For at least for those first 18 years, and then not even because
No, it's
yeah,
they
right around
it's teenage
teenage
years when they
years,
start to then
yeah,
see
their friends
their
become their
values and
teachers.
they actually learn more from their friends in society at that age. So,
Something else we don't want.
yep.
So
So the
so
most important years are 0 to 7 when they're the imprinting
mhm,
modeling years right there. 7 to
right,
14 is modeling.
right, right.
So
So I want to get it right. I want to improve and better quality of life for my kids. You know, like uh, I grew up without a father, and your dad kind of left later, a little bit
yeah, he was
later,
there. There
right?
was just a lot of alcoholism and unfortunately, which is a sickness eventually,
Mm-hmm.
which leads to emotional abuse and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I still love him, but there was a lot there
and
for sure. A lot of
and
pain.
yeah, no, my aunts and you know, I don't know that a lot of them, they had kids with you know a person that was there and then eventually dipped out on them, kind of the same way how my father walked out on my mom and us, um
Yeah, I cried
and
when he told me that day that he left.
yeah, but it's one of those things that, like, I was never really taught how to be a father because,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I wasn't taught how to be a husband, right? And I didn't really have the right examples either growing up when all of those guys dipped on my aunts and things like that, right? So it's just like I didn't really see that example. So I think a little bit of how I'm living my life and I want to live it, and it's showing up for you and the kids,
Yeah.
right? That's like I want to be there. I want to
Yeah.
be a present
And you're a
father.
dad to sons, to boys. So, obviously your mom parented you, fathered, mothered you. So you as a father, like, what do you think is like one of those lessons that you really want to make sure that you are able to share with the boys?
Um,
I know there's a lot, but like what's something that just kind of like feels like that's here in your heart that's like, what do I want my boys to really get from me?
Discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How so?
discipline in every aspect of life, right? I get it. Sometimes we want to have fun, but no, work first, play later. Work first, play later. You always stress to me, oh, why are you always talking about retirement, retirement? And it's because I am working, working, working
Mhm.
to get us to a place where we can ditch the nine to
Yeah.
five.
Yeah.
And now it's like now
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. 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 And you learned discipline. Is that something that you already had growing up, or is that something you started to get during like the Marine Corps? And then now you want to instill that in your kids because you say that for boys or for men, it's harder in this world. I don't know how true this is or not, right? But it's harder or tougher for boys and men compared to girls.
Yeah, so I think that discipline is not the way I understood it before the Marine Corps. I think because anybody can look up the definition of discipline and find it in the dictionary, but it's not really how I would read it out loud
Mhm.
and
How do you define it?
understand it, right? Discipline, the
In the
way
way
I
that
would
in the
define
way that
it,
you see it as you understand it in your world of discipline.
yeah, no, it's basically, showing up to do what needs to be done, even though you don't want to do it. Even though you don't want to do it, right? It's going to be hard, right? Because those days happen in so many aspects of life. Sometimes it's showing up to the gym. Just showing up is half the battle, really, right? You just got to show up and just get it done, knock it out, right? Sometimes it's going to be hard, but discipline is just getting it done, right? Um, so it's being resilient, being tough, being strong. I want my boys that they're not just gonna give up just because they hit a hurdle on the road, right? It's like, no, no, no. It's just a little speed bump. Don't let that knock you down. Get up, right? I see my little boy fall, and I don't pick him up. I just say, "Uh oh." It's like, get up, buddy.
He's like,
Yeah, you'll
ouchie.
say, "Ouchie."
He's so
Yeah.
funny.
No, it's I want them to be, it's like, hey, look, just rub some dirt on it. You're gonna be good. You know, obviously, you assess what what happens, right? If I see him fall and he's got a broken arm, it's like
I
obviously
mean,
that's different.
we can get
But
into that. That
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
That was sad. But anyway,
yeah,
I did talk about it in the podcast
yeah.
in previous episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we assess it though,
yeah,
right? But you got to show them the tough love
yeah.
for sure. It's not easy for a man out in this world, right? You know, you want to have a wife, kids. It's like you got to be able to at least put a house and food on the table. If not, what are you doing trying to have wife and kids? You can't protect them, you can't feed them, you can't
Yeah, I wish I
provide.
had the person who said this, but recently saw a video. I don't know if you shared it with me or something, where the guy says, "Don't get married, don't have a girlfriend." Basically, it was like, don't get with somebody for a while until you have worked on yourself, until you have accomplished what you want to accomplish, started that business, gotten the career that you wanted, and then you can have a wife. It's like, he's like, don't get a wife, don't look for a wife or a girlfriend right now. He's like, you don't want that. He's like, have fun, do all the things if you want to have fun, but nothing like that. And I was like, oh, that's a definitely interesting way. And I think that applies for just anyone, men and women. It's like, don't, like, yeah, it's cool when we find somebody so early, right? But we went through a lot, right?
Well, it's interesting, right? You say this because I think that what you're saying is that don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, but that's really they're saying that to don't do those things
Until you have
and the
this.
rest will be easier for you. It's to make it easy for you.
You think so?
It's a game. Oh yeah, no, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Things would be so much easier without all the other
Well,
distractions,
of
right?
course, all the
Because
other
all the other
responsibilities.
responsibilities,
Yeah.
things that distract you from you being focused getting to your goal, you have to be able to realize that, right? Now, As a girl, women, they want their things, they want them now. That's how it is, right? They don't believe in hard work.
Oh, that's not true. That's not
Men,
true.
I'm gonna teach you something, tell you something. You have to believe in the hard work, the getting up there, building that value. You have to become valuable, right? You have to be a man of value. A man of value, you could now see a younger, pretty girl and be like, yes, now I can provide a house. I can provide protection, food on the table. I'm not some young, dumb punk kid. No, right? It's like I have evolved into this now. I think that that's the responsible way. That's actually the easy way of getting it done, right? You as a woman, you get to have someone who already made it, right? As
That,
a
you
young
know.
woman, you get to have someone who already
But
made
I
it.
feel like a lot of
Now,
us women now have ambition and we want more. Not just, I mean,
sometimes there are women who want to build
yeah,
together, right?
yeah.
And hey, that's more how you are, right? You want to build together.
I
In
mean,
fact,
I like being taken care of. Don't get me
well,
wrong.
here's the thing. The thing is that you bet on my success. You bet on it,
I had a
right?
good hand, huh?
So it's like you bet on me, right? And you betting on me, I don't want to let you down, right? But also because you bet on me, and now that 10 years, however long later, it's the bond, the love. It's unimaginable because for me, I feel I wouldn't be where I am without you. I feel that you guided me, kept me strong when I was losing it, right? You kept me on a straight path. So for me, I really do feel like you helped me in get there, right? We tackled it. We tackled the world together. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, I don't think that I'd be here without you, to be honest.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no. You kept me focused for sure. You kept me focused, right? You didn't let me go down a bad path or anything like
No,
that.
definitely would not let you go down a bad path.
Yeah,
Even whether we're together or not.
you were
Like,
my balance.
yeah, I mean, I gotta keep it down to earth and grounded,
Yeah.
That's kind of who I am. I like to stay calm and it'll get done. And sometimes people get offended because they feel like you're not reacting. I'm like, no, no, it's happening inside you. You just don't see it outwardly. And so I'm grateful that you say that. And so yeah, it's us. I don't want to say us against the world, but it's us embracing the world.
It's tackling the world together,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. And at this point,
Accomplishing the things we want to accomplish, our
yeah.
goals, things like that.
And I think our values align more now than they did then.
Then I was more focused on the taking care of the family now, taking care of everything now, and just um, getting us to where we need to be, really, right? Um, but a lot of it is kind of easing back away from we're getting everything done, structured and whatnot. Like
Yeah, because
we
that's how
we
we started the
this
year.
is how we started. We started creating a
We
schedule. We
have
need to
it
hit
somewhere
these
over there.
deadlines. But
We
then we
created a spreadsheet with color codes and phases, and this is when we'll be moving out. This is when we're gonna do the launch party, and this and that, and then
life happens.
life happened for one. It was happening really fast when we started. We want to also respect Alex's feelings and his mindset, right? Because he's a
Things were
12-year-old
moving
going on
too
13
fast for
year
him.
old.
Yeah.
And so he's been with us for a few years. And so now he's had a little more structure and balance. And so we were almost rocking that.
Yeah, no, he
Um,
he he did get kind of caught off guard one
yeah, he
weekend.
got rocked for sure. And I think as parents, we have to remember, yeah, we have our goals as human beings, even, right? We have our goals. And at the same time, we have to think about who else is in this goal with me? How is this affecting my environment, my people? You know, it's part of creating your goals is how is this ecological? Does this make sense, right? Is this just for you or is this for others? And so it's something that we really have to think about, step a little bit, take a step back and say, okay. And so then one time we were in the car and you're like, I think we have to like adapt and be flexible with that. And me and Alex were like, yes, thank you. Because me and Alex are pretty flexible, right?
Yeah.
And once you told us that, we're like, we can breathe a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that definitely we needed to just kind of be like, all right, life has been happening. We need to take a step back. Life's been happening. All sorts of things are moving parts. And it's just like, all right, stop. Where are we? Because a lot of things were getting done,
Yes.
right, and knocked off the list. And
The biggest one was
but
the
then,
garage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I put in a lot of work to get us there and
Yes, you have.
minimalizing and
Mm-hmm.
and so definitely that right there. We've made progress,
Mm-hmm.
but we had to pump the brakes, just life happening and yeah, things that just right. And it was really us doing favors and helping others. We put our
Yeah.
life on
Yeah.
hold, and but that's great because
Sometimes it's
that's kind of
okay.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like that's where I want to
Mm-hmm.
help my community. I want to help my
My
family.
family. Hey.
And now that my mom also retires
I
next year,
know. That's so
yeah,
exciting. If
so
you're hearing this, Maria, congratulations.
yeah, but see, she's the
She's put
same
in the
as
work.
me. She's the same as me now,
Mm-hmm.
thinking in that way of like, why are we doing this
You know
way?
what's crazy is
Let's
that
get out into the world.
you know what's crazy? You used to think a lot like her,
Yeah,
and now she's thinking like you.
yeah, yeah. No, it's really you open up your eyes to the world and
Mm-hmm.
what it has to offer, and how you were so honed in your own little world of the capabilities that
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't really imagine yourself anything outside of like just your 9 to 5, going to go get your groceries,
Mm-hmm.
going to pump gas, fill up your car, going home, sleeping, do it all over again next week. Right? That's the little box that everyone's really boxed in, and
Yeah.
it's like, how do you get out of that?
How do we think out about what
Yeah.
opening can we find
What can I
to
do
get
to
out of this, right? And
exactly?
it's like that getting. And so one of the things that I've been learning has been or accepting or embracing more of, and I've always had this, but more this year was like getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And it feeling so, like this is does not feel good, but I know it's the process, right? I mean, same with
It's
childbirth. It does
discipline.
not feel
It's the
good.
discipline that you gotta think
Yeah,
about.
I mean, I guess I had to be disciplined during childbirth, but but yeah, it's like, okay, how
Getting
do
no,
I
it's
get through
getting
this mud,
comfortable with the
right?
uncomfortable. That
Yeah,
takes discipline.
and it doesn't always feel good, but once you get through that, it's like, ha, we got the garage done, cool. Ha, we got this setup done, right? Because it was a little uncomfortable in the process, not because it's not fun. I trust me, I had a lot of fun with this, but it's like, oh my god, how do we make it right? What are we missing? This is starting to feel a sort of way, like this and this and this, right? And then once you get it done, it's like, yes, when we go to CrossFit, we're like, oh my God, why? Why are we here? And then coach is
Yes.
like, remember why you're here.
It's
Remember?
like, yep.
Yeah, Coach Chris, he says, why are you, remember why you're here? You know, why'd you come here today? And so you have to think about why are you on this journey? Why are you going for this goal or this ambitious dream of yours? And if you're not, what action steps do you need to take? And I think we've taken a lot of those action steps. This one is one of them, which is really exciting because, I mean, this is going to be a really nice setup later on, too. So, yeah. So, what are you excited about? What are you like looking forward to for yourself as a family, like in for the rest of this year? Or even like into, yeah, what are you looking forward to? Sure.
Yeah, no. my main focus right now is the kids. I want to start getting more involved with doing more sports with them.
Yeah.
It's like
It was so cool. Like he painted or spray painted. We I bought Raiden two soccer nets, right?
yeah,
Goals,
the soccer goal
and he
nets,
did the grass yesterday. And you like spray painted a whole little
the soccer
a
field.
soccer field for a 2-year-old in the
Yeah,
backyard.
yeah. I
So
measured it, did everything.
dad duties and everything.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Yeah, no. I wanted to give him a little something,
yeah,
and he goes to practices
yeah.
on Sundays.
Yep,
So
little soccer cub.
yeah, exactly, little
And so
soccer
I'm
kid.
excited for Alex when he comes back from his boxing camp too. Like how that's
Yes,
how, what you're
yes.
gonna do with him
Yeah,
together.
no. Well, he's gonna continue mixed martial arts here in Austin, but yeah, I mean that's what I want to do. It's they're my main priority. Anything work related, I'm giving them as much time as is necessary in order to just accomplish the mission over there, but that is I'm there until the end of next year and that's it.
Next year of
Yes.
2026.
Yes.
That's
So
the big goal right now, huh?
2026 is my last year there. Like, that's it. By that point, my son is going to be on his way out of uh, middle school and going
Yeah,
into high
también.
school, at which point he
Yeah,
said, let's homeschool 1 year.
yeah,
Let's go to school 1 year. He
yeah,
wants to go to my high school where I went to high school.
yeah.
And it's funny that we got a house that goes to that
I know,
school,
right? Because
right?
we're so close to the other school district
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
that's crazy.
So
But that's
so
really
that's part of the
exciting.
reasons we're also Airbnbing our
Mhm.
house. So
Mhm.
we get to
To
keep
create the
our
freedom.
house. Exactly, create the freedom. We get to keep our house
Mhm.
and come back to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will rent our Airbnb to ourselves
Yeah.
when we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you and all that you've accomplished thus far. You know, there's a different success I think that's happening, right? Because you had success then, you've always had success. But the journey continues, and it's really cool to like see it. And me as your wife, I see it every day. Sometimes we may not talk about it all the time, but I'm like, oh, that's different. That's different. What? He said that? So it's really cool for me to learn and continue to learn and grow with you. And so let me ask you just one more thing because I'm always fascinated by your mind. If somebody wanted to learn something from you, what would be like a key piece of advice or what would you tell them?
Spend your time how you want to spend your time with whomever you want to spend your time. Make it count. Make it count. Make every moment of your life count. Whether that's with your friends, with your family, your kids. Make every moment of your life count because not only could it be that it's the last time they're going to see you, it could be the last time you get to see them. And it's a lesson I learned, and it hurts when you learn that lesson. It hurts. So I think that making it count, making every moment count with everybody. How
Yeah.
do you want to be remembered?
Yes. I remember I asked you that a while back.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a great father, great, 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 great grandfather.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wanna be able to get to see great grandkids and great great grandkids if I can.
He's gonna be a grandpappy.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
definitely want to be remembered to be a great father and a great grandfather.
Yes. And you will. And I'm grateful to you. And I know you didn't say this, but you'll also be remembered as that really cool great grandfather that was on on the motorcycles.
Yep, yep. They're gonna be like, yeah, that was my grandfather right there.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I want my kids to be like, look, my dad does this, right? Just to say, just the same way I want my grandkids to call my kids out on things like my grandfather could do it. You know, my abuelo can do it. Why can't you, dad?
Well, I can see. Yeah.
Right?
So I'll be calling him out.
Yeah, they'll be calling him out. I want,
They'll be listening to
when
this
I have
podcast one day in the
little
future.
granddaughters, you know, they're going to be like, yeah, you know what, little Billy? I don't think you're the guy for me because my grandfather would have never let this fly. He knows how to treat a lady.
Yeah.
It's like, you better open this door, Billy. That door's not going to open itself. Oh, Billy, you want to marry me? Have you bought a house yet? Do
Yeah.
you make a salary to put food on the table?
Or a
Go
successful business.
go focus on what's important, sir.
Mhm.
And then you can come back, little Billy.
Of course you want to
Because
be
if not,
remembered.
little Billy's gonna lose her to Big Johnny anyway. You
Híjole,
know?
mano. All right, babe. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. I am so grateful. This has been like so exciting. I think we can go on for hours, but we have a child. I have a child. So, I love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too, baby.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for this episode, for episode 100. And I'm just feeling so grateful to have had this conversation, this episode with Jose. It's honestly just so wild to look back at where we were when we did record episode 50 and now just how much has shifted and grown in both of us, right? His mindset that he had then, the mindset that I had then, my skills that I did not have then as a podcaster versus now, and the new mindset that he has, right? Here there's so much that changed. You maybe even our voices have changed, maybe even how we talk to each other has changed. That one was only audio, so you didn't get to actually see us. And just hearing our voices, you'll be able to tell a lot. Definitely a lot changed. And so here's a couple of things that I walked away with that I hope maybe you walk away with, maybe more. The first one is that life really is about betting on yourself, but learning how to trust that timing, the lessons, and the people who are walking alongside you. The second thing is that growth doesn't always have to look like hustle and grind, right? There's a thing about hustling and how people are badasses if they hustle, which, yes, I agree with. I'm telling you, he has hustled a lot, right? So sometimes it's choosing the flexibility, choosing family, choosing your own presence, your peace. What are your values that you have for yourself, with yourself, to yourself? And then what are your values with others? And so, if anything from this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this. It's, like I said, it's one that I'm super grateful for. And you sharing it just helps me reach more people out there. And I will appreciate it more than you really know. And of course, there's so many more powerful conversations coming your way. So make sure that you are subscribed, that you are following along, and taking a moment to reflect on your own journey too. So, with that being said, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And with that being said, thank you for listening to this episode up to this point. My name is Carla Rodriguez. This is MetaFit MetaMind podcast, where we are having conversations that we would have never had. Until next time.